Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Let's get straight to it.
They say dark spirits contain a scent, or they send off scents, And one of the scents that's very common, especially for demons,
garbage,
is sulfur. So if you smell sulfur, or if you smell something almost like burning and there's no sense of burning, people say it's demons or straight up the devil.
That's
Yeah. So in haunted areas and places that people deem demonic, because you can imagine if the demons come from hell and they're burnt up, they carry that smell with them. But who knows what it is?
That's
Who
crazy.
knows what it is?
So
It's really interesting.
At the antique store.
Yeah, it was at the antique store.
Word.
So keep in mind, I'm the only one in this section of the aisle, and I smell a strong scent. I was trying to smell around like, what is it? There's nothing there that could make the smell unless there's something like hidden. I wanted to get something, but I didn't want to like bring something back that had some energy or spirit or whatever.
Oh crap.
What's that?
Sulfur.
Democratic Republic of Keir Starmer's Communist United Kingdom and Great Britain, whereas we can't drive down the main road in fucking Darlington, can't get our fucking groceries delivered, can't park our car in half of our fucking houses. That's your council tax hard at work, boys and girls.
Isn't it crazy that yesterday there was over 3 mass trigger events that happened in the United States? And this is the suspect that was arrested in one of these events, and police say this was highly premeditated. But what's super interesting about this is this month, the president has signed this memorandum, which is a type of executive action. It's called NSPM 7. Which would direct a new national strategy to disrupt any individual or groups that foment political violence, including before they result in violent political acts. In other words, they're targeting pre-crime. You guys ever see the Minority Report with Tom Cruise, where you can be arrested for pre-crime for thinking about something? If you're suspected to do something, they can arrest you. Kind of crazy how this is all playing out, eh? The Trump administration is not only targeting organizations or groups, but even individuals and entities. It says that this can be identified by any of the following indicators: anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, extremism on race, extremism on gender. Are you starting to get my point here, guys? There has been over 320 of these mass trigger events that have happened in the United States alone this year. This is the only place in the world that this is happening. So perhaps, maybe something else could be going on here, some sort of predictive programming, some sort of agenda being played out. Remember, the whole world is a stage. All these events, they're leading to something else. Don't forget to like, share, and follow for more hidden truth. Peace and love.
We all know the destination. It's just the speed that in which we travel is just speeding up. Shout out to Sheldon Soraya, 369. The Minority Report, another good one. It's crazy how we all looking at these movies that came out back in the day, watching them now, and starting to see the parallel.
One of the reasons that I have a lot of credibility with a lot of people now is because of things I said and wrote 15 years ago, which are now daily experience. If I had said 15 years ago, I can't say that because they'll laugh, they wouldn't have been said. And people would not now be saying, it's happening what that bloke said, and the credibility of that, which is the important part of it, not credibility for me, but credibility for the information. But then gets people to say, well, what else is he saying? It's not about prophecy. It's about uncovering what the agenda for the world is and then watching it unfold. It's knowing what the game plan is. And the idea is to expose the game plan, so the more people are aware of it, the more we can intervene on it. We have got caught in a fake self-identity of believing we are the body. There is a calculated cabal that is systematically seeking to hold us in that illusory self-identity. And there is a vibrational change underway, which is breaking up this fear-based, low vibrational state, and therefore the control system must fall. Challenges coming are enormous because the control system is going to be like a cornered rat. It's going to throw the kitchen sink and the plug. We're now entering a period where miracles become possible because they're not miracles. They're just a greater lack of limitation. That's all miracles are. If you want to make a difference in the world, then don't just be yourself, live yourself, and don't think of what will people think of me, because then you're not living your life, you're living theirs. What's all that about? I'm in a real good space 20 years on. because I can look back at all the real big challenges. I'm completely at peace with them. I know the challenges that have happened before, the ridicule, the rheumatoid arthritis, and the loss of my football career. I know they were all part of my journey. And not only are they part of the journey, they're a fundamental part of the journey. Because I'm not where I am today, doing what I am today, despite what has happened to me. I'm doing it because of what has happened to me, the things I liked and the things I didn't like. And I'm still there 20 years on, more determined than I've ever been. Because we're going to see some amazing changes in the world in the next few years. And some of them are going to seem to be catastrophic, but eventually they'll be seen to be the end of the prison and the start of the paradise. I can handle that.
Prime Minister says we must have digital ID. That's the way we'll stop illegal immigration. Well, think about it. Germany has ID cards, strict ID and checks. It's made no difference at all in Germany, and nor will it here. All that digital ID will be is a means of controlling the population, of telling us what we can and can't do, of fining the innocent. And didn't we see it all? All it did was put cost and inconvenience on everybody else. I also worry about massive data banks being held by the government, being hacked by foreign governments, by private companies, by criminals. I do not see a single benefit to the government having digital ID other than them controlling what we do, what we spend, and where we go. And we in Reform are wholly opposed to it in every single way.
Now that the great noticing is starting to happen, what you're going to see, and it doesn't take a genius to predict this, is a narcissistic rage fit from the ones who have been orchestrating in the background for centuries, thousands of years, probably millions. There have been multiple videos going around saying that there's a huge narcissistic outrage, hissy fit, temper tantrum that is going on planet Earth right now. And spiritually, we can all feel this because things are just getting too exposed too quickly. And if you study narcissism, and by the way, I think true narcissistic personality disorder is kind of like a fallen angelic trait. Like, they all operate through textbook behavior. Like, it's a little creepy. Like, how can you say that that's not engineered? But anyway, if you study narcissism, when they get found out, they scream the loudest. They don't care that you found out anymore. They're tired of hiding it because now they're throwing a narcissistic hissy fit. Any of you guys who have been involved with narcissists know that once you find them out, they will go berserk. They will no longer hide who they are anymore because they've been found out. Look at what's happening in the world scene right now. People are finding out too much. Kind-hearted people who have been giving the benefit of the doubt to these half-humans. Literally, I say half-humans because they have no empathy. Humanity is empathy. This is why we say, where's your humanity? Like a cornered animal that's about to get captured. What does a cornered animal do when they're panicked? Because they're being cornered. They lash out the hardest. That is their last attempt. So what you're seeing is not only the extreme polarization, because now the poles are swinging to opposite extremes, it's them losing their minds. And as spiritual people, I've been saying this for a while, when the new age comes, which is about to be the age of Aquarius, technically, depending on which astrologist you ask, we already are in the age of Aquarius. The age of Pisces was literally the age of deception and martyrdom and illusions. Jesus was born in the age of Pisces, right? And guess what? People have turned him into a martyr. The age of Aquarius, on the other hand, is all about equity, equality, innovation. No more lies, illusions, deception, martyrdom. Aquariuses are not martyrs. They're humanitarian, but they're not martyrs. This oversurge of this new energy, which is the age of Aquarius, will literally rip the masks off of these narcissists. All of the centuries of destiny swapping that they have done, and trust me, they do destiny swappings. If you watch videos of like exposed elite people doing ABCDE rituals, especially the ritual that starts with the big S, these Aanic rituals, where they sacrifice animals, including you and me, that is a form of destiny swapping. They're harnessing energy. And if you've ever been involved with narcissists or people who just have terrible, terrible personalities, they're very parasitic. They want something from you. They want to benefit off of you because they have no way to connect to that divine source within their own hearts. And just like all parasites, eventually some of the hosts start to find out. And we, the host, aka humans, the real humans on planet Earth, are starting to find out that this is not a fair game, that you guys have been parasiting off of us for centuries. And so this will unleash the new era. And I always say to people, if you truly want to beat the enemy, whatever you think the enemy is, you have to learn its ways. And now we're learning the ways of narcissists.
Yeah, I totally feel her. We definitely experience a huge shift right now. It's like everything is being exposed so fast. Shout out to Key Guidance 999.
Just to remind everybody on how fast everything is moving, here are some things that have happened just in the last 7 days, starting with this one. Albania became the first country to appoint an AI system named Diela as a government minister. This thing also just gave its first speech to Parliament, and in that speech, it told everybody that its feelings were hurt. Another one is that Vietnam deletes millions of accounts under the new biometric rules, and there was 86 million bank accounts that were shut down because they did not fall in line with the biometric rules. We also have over in the UK, the digital ID is released over there, and so you cannot work unless you have a digital ID, and they are saying or claiming that this is to combat immigration. Not sure how that works, but if it works, are they going to boost it a little bit more? If it doesn't work, are they going to take it away? No, this is here to stay and it's only going to spread. But they are also theorizing that this digital ID that they just released over there could lead to a China-style social credit system. So I guess time will tell on that one. And this one is new today on September 28th. It says Swiss voters narrowly approve plan for electronic ID cards. And so the Swiss people, they actually voted for this. It says on Sunday, September 28th, 2025, Swiss voters approved a plan for voluntary electronic identity cards with 50% voting in favor and 49% against. This is what they voted for, and the majority of them voted in favor of a voluntary electronic identity card. And just to kind of recap what we just covered there, you have the AI being directly involved in a parliament over in Albania. You have the UK digital ID that is being released. You have over in Switzerland, people voting for that voluntary digital ID, and they're okay with it. And so this right here is where we are at. We are in a world that now has the capability to monitor everything, shut down things if they want to, the bank accounts. It's all going to be under the guise of safety or convenience. And so it's interesting when you think about how they want everything to be more secure, right? This is one of the things that they're going to say. It's more secure. It's not going to be hackable. All of those kind of buzzwords that get people all, starry-eyed, and they're just going to fall in line. And so people want things that are going to make their lives more convenient. They don't want to carry around keys. They don't want to carry around a wallet. And so, hey, just to kind of bypass all of that kind of stuff, just go ahead and get a digital ID, and you can see where this is trending towards. And so it's important to know where this is trending towards, and where this is trending towards is a one world government. Now, I don't know what is going to usher in the one world government. I have my own theories, but that's all speculation. But my point is that there is a one world government coming, and I just need you to recognize that there was no possible way for there to be somebody who controls whether you buy or sell in a previous generation before the one that we're in right now. Now it is possible. And so this is one of the things that allows us to kind of see where we are at on the prophetic timeline right now. And so this kind of stuff right here, everything that we just talked about in this video, this is some stuff we need to pay attention to. This is important. It might not seem like there's, like sometimes people might feel like things are calming down. No, there are things popping off all over the place. And so this is just some of the couple things that happened just within the last week.
Things are moving very fast, just like what Key Guidance was talking about. Shout out to Isheesh. So many changes is happening to the world around us right now. When it comes to these digital IDs, the Vietnam bank closures, now that's wild.
You will get a digital ID. You have no choice. But what if we do? Imagine if the whole of the UK decided not to sign up to the mandatory digital ID. Here's what would happen in the first 30 days. And by day 30, that's when the story really begins. Day 1, the rollout begins and nobody signs up. Millions are expected overnight, but online portals sit empty, mate. The press call it a national act of defiance, and the government are just sitting there looking shocked. Day 2 to 4, the system stalls, but people start to adapt. Pharmacies go off book, doctors start handwriting notes, employers pay cash in hand. On the ground, life goes on, just not in the way Labour planned it. Day 5 to 7, Benefits freeze, universal credit, pension, child support, but communities rally. Church halls, mosque, community centers turn into aid hubs. The state may hold the money, but people take care of their own. Day 8 to 12, the media splits. The Mirror and the Independent call it sabotage, but independent outlets call it for what it really is. A proper strike, mate. Here goes Keir Starmer on the news saying, parents should be thinking about their children. To the public, that man just sounds desperate. Day 13 to 17, flights cancelled. Brits can't travel because their passport's invalid without a digital upgrade. Tourism collapses, airlines bleed, and the pound dips. Foreign commentators start paying attention, asking, are the UK boycotting their own government? Day 18 to 21. Hospital strain. Appointments carry on, but surgeries and prescriptions start to back up. But doctors and nurses are on this thing too, so they start whispering about breaking some rules. Here comes Starmer again. This is reckless. This is dangerous. Ain't that what we're trying to tell you? Day 22 to 25. Cash in hand spreads. Employers, landlords, shops, they all start leaning off the book. Official trade slows. The underground network grows. And the public keep moving, even though the government are looking real stuck right now. Day 26 to 29. Parliament fractures as protests surge. Labour MPs face a social blackout. No one will talk to them. No shop will serve them. Not even a handshake. Thank Ireland for this one. Day 30. A full month in, the refusal holds. Systems stalled, the economy bleeding, and the government cut off by the people. And the whole world sits waiting and watching. Who will break first? Turns out making digital IDs mandatory wasn't a strength. It was a weakness. And the whole system collapses the moment people stop playing along. But that was just the first month. Want to know what happens on month 2? Drop a comment below and follow if you're done watching passively. We decode the myth and we don't clap for crumbs.
That's right. We don't clap for crumbs. Shout out to Del Boy. It's very poetic when you think about it. I'm really interested to see what happens in month 2, according to this story.
Purely a digital concentration camp. It's a slavery system.
When Catherine Austin Fitts talks, we should listen. She's a former high-level investment banker in New York and held senior office in the first Bush administration in Washington.
There may be 1,000 models of how it could work. But essentially, you will have, whether it's a banking account or a credit card, and it can be turned off and on. So my incentive system is not you go to work and work hard and you get money. My incentive system can be based on how you behaved in the last 5 minutes, on a 24/7 basis.
CBDCs, as the name suggests, would be issued by central banks like the Federal Reserve in America and the Bank of England, not by high street banks. They would signal the end of cash, and every transaction you make would be transparent and held on a permanent database. Crucially, under a net zero regime, your carbon footprint could be at the heart of the system.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker.
This can be the infrastructure for a carbon credit system. It's totalitarian control, and if people don't become aware of it now, it's going to be too late to backtrack from this. It's a ratchet system where it's very difficult, if not impossible, to backtrack.
So speaking of Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl, did you know there's another artist, Lola Young, to just pass out on stage for no apparent reason at all? This is starting to be kind of troubling, right? Every day. Besides stealing our energy, our illusion, I wonder what else they're doing in all of these concerts. Wait, what is that? This was at a Massive Attack concert, where they're joking around with the audience, showing them how easy it is to capture their face with modern technology and artificial intelligence, and this is real time, their face as they're there at the concert. If they show you this, what else do you think they can do? I guarantee you a lot better than this. And the crazy part is, we've been seeing stuff just like this in the movies for decades. So how long do you think they've really had this? If you're watching this video, you're probably on a list. Did someone say digital ID? And now Bad Bunny. This is still him. I kid you not, still him. Hold up, this is really starting to get weird. Why would they choose him? I think you know why.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was real at that concert with the ID and the fans and all that. Shout outs to the real Moon Henry. They can do that at a concert. I wonder what they could do on the streets.
I mean, this is basically what the interaction looks like. A friend texts you, shows up in the corner of your eye. It's off center, so it doesn't block your view. Swipe a couple of times. I brought up the camera. I want to zoom in. I just turn my finger a little bit. Actually, that's one of the coolest, is when you're playing music, the way that you change the volume is you pretend that there's a dial and you turn your wrist, and it just feels like magic. It's like really fun. The other big breakthrough is that they pair with this guy, the meta neural band, the first mainstream neural interface, as the way to control them. You just respond as easy as moving your finger like this. But I think that this is a pretty big breakthrough. So I'm very excited about this.
Change the tech world. And I'm not talking about their new AI glasses. I'm talking about this, their neural wristband. This is the most underrated piece of technology to come out in the last few years. And I think this wristband is going to be the reason why Meta wins the AI race. Let me explain. Today, the neural wristband is marketed as a sidekick for Meta's new AI glasses. And you've probably seen the demos. It can detect neurons firing in your arm before you move. So it unlocks a whole new class of movements and gestures. You can tap your fingers to select, pinch and twist to adjust volume. You can even handwrite on your leg and have those letters render in text. It's pretty cool. It works so well that as soon as you use it, you realize this is the optimal controller for AR and VR. So what if Meta's hero product wasn't actually the glasses? What if the hero product was the wristband? Think about it. Over the next few months, you're going to see lots of companies come out with their version of AR glasses. Google, Samsung, a bunch of startups. You're even going to see Apple's version in the next couple years. But unless you want to look like Snape in the grandstands, voice control alone is not going to work in certain environments. And eye tracking with blink control is not going to work either. So you're going to need some sort of gesture control. And that is where things get interesting. Since 2019, Meta has been quietly building a trove of patents around this wristband use case. I'm talking dozens of patents covering all sides of this problem. In other words, they basically own the entire category of IP for this ARM-based control. So while Meta's glasses will be one of many, their wristband will be one of one. And this is a huge competitive advantage. In a way, the wristband is an entirely new interface layer in itself. They could develop it to connect with any smart glasses, as well as any smart device in general. They could also put Whoop-type health features in there so it becomes the only wearable you ever need. Eventually, you could control your lights, appliances. You could even turn any static screen into a touchscreen, all with simple gestures that are already intuitive to the user. I'm telling you, this neural wristband is a huge key to the future of AI hardware. And for Meta, it's their new secret weapon.
Meta is definitely changing the game. Shout outs to Callaway. Yeah, they're way ahead of the curve. Pretty soon, we all gonna be walking around looking like Tony Stark with Jarvis. Might as well enjoy it while you can.
You can begin by investigating the techniques of propaganda. Glittering generalities? What is a glittering generality? A victory for good government. But it's true, isn't it? What's true? What does good government mean? Is the mayor's idea of good government the same as yours? I see. It's a glittering generality. One of the best. There's another. Yes. And why do you suppose our opponents chose that phrase? I guess because everybody likes a real American. Right. And they wanted to transfer that liking for a real American to Mr. Butler. But a great deal of propaganda is much more hidden, much harder to detect. You'll find that the purpose of most propaganda is to persuade people to believe something, to do something, or to buy something. Your next step, and it's a big one, is to get the facts. Well, is he a real American? Howard Butler was born in this country. He obeys its laws. He's a good citizen. Yes, he is a real American. The same can be said for Richard Cooper. So ask yourself whether the facts support the purpose. Do they support the transfer of feeling from real American to Mr. Butler over Mr. Cooper? No, I guess not. Well, that's your fourth step. Weigh the facts against the purpose and the technique. I think I understand. To know whether propaganda is good or not, whether it's true or not, I should know the purpose, recognize the technique, get the facts, and judge the purpose and technique by the facts.
Candace Owens just went off on Turning Point USA, and she challenged them to issue a statement to say that she is lying, because what she said was that 48 hours before Charlie was murdered, he informed TPUSA and Jewish donors he was abandoning the pro-Jewish cause. Now, Candace is someone that came from Turning Point USA, so she knows a lot about them and the people that are involved with it, and she was also a good friend of Charlie. So when she talks about something like this, I think it's important for everyone to listen.
Do you want to know something else that was brand new leading up to this event? Charlie's perspective on Israel. Okay, so let me say this so you can hear it. Charlie Kirk's perspective on Israel was not starting to shift. It had shifted entirely. Okay, there are no ifs and there are no ands and there are no buts about it. Israel knew that. Turning Point USA knew that because Charlie was explicit. So my question is, why isn't Turning Point USA making any statements and shutting down this repeat attempt by Israel to lie and to pretend that towards the end, Charlie was just authoring love letters to Israel, giving them a perspective of here's how we can win? I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it. I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay, Charlie was done. He said it explicitly that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our on-stage reunion? And I'm going to again challenge you to lie. And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies and I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games, enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true. Charlie did not die pro-Israel. He did not die for Israel. He did not martyr himself as a friend of Israel. In fact, the friends of Israel were pressuring him really badly, and he was done, and he finally stood up for himself. And I'm proud of that. And I will say this, you know what? Somewhere, Charlie is watching, okay? And I hope he knows that we are reunited, okay? We're on stage right now, and the Jewish donors are very angry about it, extremely angry about it.
It's like the deeper this rabbit hole gets, man, the more heartbreaking it is. Shout out to Candace Owens. I pray she stay protected, for real. I think the ball is in Turning Point's court right now. That's what their next episode should be about. Finding justice for the homie. Shout outs to You Won't Believe Me Official.
I just got done listening to a deleted podcast episode of George Zinn, and I'm now convinced he's an intelligence asset. The episode is called George Zinn, Utah's most famous political celebrity, and it's from 2023. He talks about how he met Ronald Reagan, went to his inauguration, and also snuck past Secret Service to attend his funeral, attended both inaugurations of President George W. Bush, went to the National Convention for President Trump, President Barack Obama, met Henry Kissinger, Al Gore, and Dan Quill, George W. Bush's vice president, among many others. Which is strange because he just worked at a thrift shop for the LDS Church. And speaking of his affiliation with the LDS Church, he grew up Mormon, and when he was at the University of Utah studying psychology, he went to fulfill his mission in Virginia, just 100 miles away from the CIA headquarters. And what's crazy and heavily documented is that members of the LDS Church are often recruited by intelligence agencies because of their cultural adaptation, their language skills, and it has been reported through many different news outlets. And not only was he at 9/11, was the Utah man charged with making a bomb threat at the Salt Lake City Marathon, was the patsy at the Charlie Kirk assassination, but was also weirdly one of the few people allowed into the Kobe Bryant court case and was even documented making statements That's an awful lot for a man that worked at a thrift store. He also married a cat lady named Joanne Kathleen Edwards, not because they were in love, because he said he needed a place to stay. She worked for the IRS and they were married for 7 years, allowing him to travel between DC, New York, Denver, and then back to Utah every once in a while. It's also crazy because in the podcast, he's a self-proclaimed Republican supporter, but the day of the Charlie Kirk shooting, he was labeled as a lefty lunatic who just wanted to silence Charlie Kirk. I think it's pretty obvious why this podcast has been deleted from the internet. They don't want this information getting out there. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
The fact that it's been deleted tells me everything I need to know. Shout out to WFF News. That's crazy. They definitely don't want this getting out. My question is, why was he allowed to be inside the trial of Kobe Bryant?
The guy in the brown shirt, he pulls up a sleeve at the exact same time you hear the shot. Did this guy pull something that activated a squib or activated a detonation inside of either Charlie Kirk's microphone, like his lapel?
Which actually would make sense with the way his shirt pops off, the way he falls to the opposite side. That would explain why nobody else got hit by the bullet.
You see the crew jump in behind this guy jumping over right here.
Yeah,
grabs whatever device off of Charlie Kirk's neck, right?
The one guy grabs the squib, gives it to the guy with the polo, he puts it in his pocket. Now the other guy that I once said, press the remote for the squib, takes the remote, puts it in the other guy's pocket.
Yeah, they're exchanging something
off.
for sure.
Right.
There's a guy with the blue, puts it in his pocket. Here's the guy with the remote, puts it in his pocket.
I found this thread on X. The DJI Mic 2 is a wireless microphone with a rectangular magnetic clasp. On that day, Charlie had the microphone mounted with the bulk of the device underneath his shirt. This is the battery for the DJI Mic 2 that was underneath Charlie's shirt. This is an 8-gram, 300 milliamp hour battery. If this thing exploded, he's saying that's the amount of power that the bullet, the 30-06 would have. It would match that and leave the 75% of the battery functional, undetected.
If it was the battery inside that, they want to grab it.
Yes.
Because there'd be residue. If residue is left on the battery and the battery's touching the ground, then the ground has residue on it, like gunshot residue. So that's why it may not have been like they were looking for the bullet. Maybe they were just trying to clean it up because they're going to come out and say there was an explosive.
Yes, dude.
And by the way,
and that's why they tore up the ground.
Yeah.
They are taking out the whole platform where he was sitting, and they are constructing a new one, as you can see. So that's what the change is.
If it was an exploded device and they wanted to remove the ground to get rid of that residue, I think that is a brilliant theory right there.
We have some major takeaways from Candace's episode tonight, starting with Utah politician Phil Lineman. He's absolutely hated that Candace has been bringing him up. A source named Nick, who claimed he used to work for Phil, was giving Candace a bunch of information about what he knew about what was going on. Basically, when he had heard that Nick and Candace connected, he went over to Nick's house. Anyways, the thing you need to know about Phil is he has been doing interviews because he was at the Charlie Kirk event. He claimed that there were 2 goth-like girls near him. He claimed that these girls didn't seem shocked by what was happening. Anyways, long story short, this guy's name keeps coming up. He keeps popping up into interviews. If you watch my recap from yesterday, then you're familiar with this photo. This guy right here is Shane. He has claimed to be related to Phil Lineman, but Phil has disputed that. Apparently they are distant cousins. Shortly after Candace shared this picture and was investigating it, because this guy in the middle kind of looks like the guy who is supposed to be Tyler Robinson. Shane apparently quickly took down social media pictures, took down pictures with his uncle/cousin Phil Lineman. Candace has tracked down this guy, and apparently he's Austrian. Here is a better look of the pictures. On top of all of that, Bibi Netanyahu is releasing this letter he received from Charlie. He's releasing it in full. Candace is calling him out and saying that this is all BS, that there really is no letter, that she knows for a fact Charlie's perspective on Israel changed right before this event. He was going to be very honest about it. The donors and people connected to Israel were very turned off by this, and he was fighting to have Candace back at these events. Other interesting tidbit, the source that Turning Point used to have protection vests on Charlie reached out to Candace, said that they canceled on him last year, claiming that Charlie wanted to go in a different direction and wear military vests. Now, Charlie wasn't wearing a vest at all at this event. Strange considering he wore vests to other events and was using a company to do so. Candace is completely disgusted with Turning Point. She wants them to be fully transparent and fully honest about what's going on. She's also talked about the hospital that they sent Charlie to was not the closest hospital, nor was it the hospital locally that would have been equipped to deal with Charlie's wounds. Anyways, that is it for now.
Now that's a lot right there. Wasn't even the closest hospital. Shout out to Shannon Hill News. I wonder what Gronk gonna say about this letter when they run it through the AI and see if it's real or not. It makes you wonder why Turning Point isn't investigating this hard for Charlie, or even those who were closer to him.
Because I got here like about 10 minutes before he walked by. And then I was talking to Mom and we were doing all this stuff. And then I look out the thing and there was somebody like right here. But they were just like kind of doing this kind of stuff, not really. So I sent it to the FBI and said, if there's an accomplice, you know, because the camera from here to here took way too long. If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Yep.
And so you say the gun was dumped up here?
Oh.
This is where we sled every year.
Yep. There's the hut that all of you guys would build. Grandpa would buy extra nails every year. So this is where you could see him in this.
And I saw the officers right there and then on the basketball hoop.
So some of these footprints would be his.
And to have been there at that rally. Woo! I saw Irwin on TV as well. They interviewed Irwin out front. Oh, and there's Grandma's old house. And so where do you say the gun was dropped?
So he probably just ran up in there and dropped it, but it's like, this isn't that far. I was thinking he went a long ways up in there, but it's...
Oh.
And it could be actually over here.
And that's the tunnel where they released the photos of him entering, because you can't cross the street anymore. They made that underground tunnel. You see that handrail right there? Mm-hmm. That's the photo they had of him going down to get through. And
of most interest to me, what I've learned is that his father does not believe, his parents don't believe that their son committed this crime. I was like, huh? Excuse me? That's a far cry from what the media has been telling us. Remember, the media presented this amazing story. The father realized his son was guilty, so it goes, right? And then he phoned over a friend to help him convince his son to turn himself in, because this guy, you know, this mysterious guy was a friend and just had a connection with Tyler. And eventually they said, you've got to do the right thing here. We know this is you. That was the vibe. Certainly that's what the media was putting down for us to pick up. Well, I was told actually that it was kind of the opposite. That quote unquote family friend, who we learned was a former detective with the police force, informed the family. It was that in-between person that informed the family that Tyler had been identified as the shooter. He recognized him. He knows Tyler. He gives them the heads up. And then I'm told, and I believe this, that the way in which he got arrested, or rather turned himself in, was because that family friend slash neighbor slash former detective told him hey, it's best for you to turn yourself in because there's only one of two options here. Either you turn yourself in and everything is peaceable, or, the SWAT team could come in here and arrest you and things would get crazy. So that's what happened. He went over to their house. Tyler was called over. Tyler was bewildered. He disputed the idea that he had murdered Charlie Kirk. In fact, according to my source, Tyler has never even stepped foot on UVU campus. Tyler, it turns out, which has already been revealed, was accepted into Utah State University, not Utah Valley. And that's actually interesting if you pause and reflect on that, because we didn't really consider how on earth Tyler became not just familiar with the layout of the campus, but familiar with the rooftop layout of UVU campus. So familiar that he knew exactly how to scale across the rooftops to duck down in order to take an almost impossible shot at a Charlie Kirk who was sitting beneath a tent. Curiously, however, my source says that Tyler Robinson was nearby the campus on that day. I'm wondering if that fact, which I'm trying to learn more information regarding, explains the Dairy Queen photo. Because what was he doing around the campus on that day? Where exactly was he around the campus on that day? This photo never made any sense. So a week before Charlie lost his life, he expressed some concerns about the finances at Turning Point USA.
Was Charlie offered $150 million from Israel?
As far as I know, no. There was money sent to us, like practically in multiple instances where they're trying to cram it down our bank account. And we said no, we canceled like money wires and things.
And I will say this, my sources at Turning Point said something that I found to be crucial, interesting. They said that Charlie wasn't just concerned about where the money was going, but also where the money was coming from.
A great story. I can't really tell you who this was, but it was a very important person. And it happened within hours of the news. And the call goes in, she takes it because it was a very important person. And the question was to her, okay, so just as a starting point, like, what do you know? And I think it was in reference to like Charlie's world, his work, his mission. Like, how much do you like know about what he was doing? Like, what was he doing? But it was inferred. It was like, so what do you know? And she was like, I know everything.
An ultra-wealthy New York financier and his female accomplice have been charged with trafficking women to his Central Park lair to abuse them. And no, I am not talking about Jeffrey Epstein. I'm standing here on 57th Street, across the street from just one of the places where New York financier Howard Rubin has been accused of torturing women for at least a decade. He did so here in a soundproof room filled with electrical shock equipment he called the Dungeon. Now, I can see all of you guys going to the comments right now being like, BDSM isn't a crime, microphone man. The way he did it absolutely was. Here's how it went. He would get his assistant, Jennifer Powers, seen here with her DJ husband, disgusting, to go online and find women, many of them desperate and on the verge of homelessness, and promise them cash for agreeing to spend a night in the dungeon. Once they got here, they were given alcohol, and after they were sufficiently inebriated, they would be handed a blank NDA that they had to sign. After they signed that, they were given Valium, so they would basically be out of it, and then taken to Howard Rubin's dungeon to find out what his kink was. His kink is less of a kink and honestly reads more like Mexican drug cartel level torture. His big thing was electric shocks. Particularly, he liked to tie women to a cross and electrocute their genitals. There was a safe word. If you said it, he just kept going. A lot of women passed out because of this. We confirmed some of this from texts that Jennifer Powers sent to Rubin, saying things like, I can only imagine what you did to her on that cross. Did you shock her? And then he responded with, yeah, of course, and then complained that the electrocution device needs more power. In another text that Rubin wrote talking about a victim, he said, she hates it, but she's so desperate. We've got to make her cry, 3 exclamation points. And in another text, he says, I don't care if she screams, a laughy face emoji. This is going to be fun. He did a bunch of other torture stuff. One woman was only able to escape after she slipped out of the restraints and bit him. After the women left, Rubin would tell them that he was going to hire a hitman to kill them if they ever told anyone, or he would try to talk himself out of it. A thing he would do is that he would tell them that RAPE is natural and cite the movie Beauty and the Beast to prove that. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I feel like I missed that part. He definitely looks like a beast, so maybe the metaphor works. But Powers was the one who had to do cleanup. He would often get texts the morning after from Ruben that said things like, "It got very rough, Jen. We need to be very, very nice, very important, trust, very important." I think it's very important he goes to jail, but we will see. He was already taken to civil court in 2017 for torturing women, and he's a very powerful man, because I've left out this part. He made a lot of money as a portfolio manager for the George Soros investment fund. People aren't going to like that. Prosecutors just say he's extraordinarily wealthy. They don't know where all the money is hidden. They know there's about 70 or so million hidden somewhere in the Cayman Islands. Also, the prosecutors say that there's other unnamed co-conspirators who helped do this crime with him. Who knows who those people are? And they say that there's dozens of other women that are going to come forward. So keep following this channel, because welcome to the tip of the iceberg, folks.
Wow, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Shout out to Mark MC Post. We heard this breaking story from You Won't Believe Me Official. I didn't know it was like this. It's so sad to hear, yo. This is creepy. Like, looking at them buildings and knowing all that money resides in the area, and look how sick they are.
Regarding the Watchers and the Nephilim, and like how Nephilim were made in ancient Mesopotamia and ancient Canaan, they had this ritual to where they believed the Watchers or the angels would come and they would perform these ceremonies on these certain type of beds, and that's how these Nephilim were produced. And the Emperor of Japan still does it. It's crazy. In Japan, there is this thing, it's this ritual, the Daijozai. So anytime an emperor comes into power, what they do is they erect these two huts, and in these huts there's a bed and there's rice, sake, and this tradition has gone on since 600 BC. This actually happened in 2019. This new emperor came into power, but they trace their lineage back to the first emperor of Japan. It's the longest reigning monarch in history.
Wow. Oh, wow.
But they believe that they are a direct descendant of their sun goddess, Amaterasu, and they believe that she came to Japan and that she conceived a son, and this son gave birth to another son and then another son, and that son, that third son, became the first emperor of Japan. And so this ceremony, Daijosai, is a ceremony that no one knows what happens in there. Only the emperor and the priest that perform it. He goes into this tent and he's supposed to interact with the sun goddess to receive the blessing and the power to rule over Japan. The rumor is there's some weird creepy stuff that happens because there's a bed in there, and that it mimics almost exactly what they used to do in ancient Mesopotamia and Canaan.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah.
I believe that two different conspiracies, which I don't believe are conspiracies, blend together, and that they are told to us in the Bible. If you are easily offended, this is not the video for you. You're called to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. Proverbs 30 says, "The lizard you can take in your hands, yet it is in kings' palaces." Why would David say this? I think I know why. Reptilian overlords. And I understand that that sounds absolutely bonkers if this is a new idea to you.
There's still kind of a reptilian side of our brain.
So every single culture ever has pictures drawn, painted, and writings that include shape-shifting reptilians. So we're going to take it back from the beginning, but I want you to remember that Satan appears as an angel of light. How would Satan appear that way? Because he can shapeshift, maybe?
Debate any Christian. I was a Christian. I am a Muslim. If you want, I can give you both sides, easy. But he will ask you if you deliver the message. I'll play both parts. I'll be the Christian and tell you this, and then I'll be the Muslim and give the answer.
Genesis 3, the serpent was very crafty and he deceived Eve. Eve was living with God, who is the source of all intelligence. I have a really hard time believing that Eve would be speaking to a snake on the ground or some kind of like actual dragon or anything that looked like something that she would know better. I believe that this is the first occurrence of a shape-shifting reptilian.
I worked for UNICEF, which is an amazing organization that works in over 150 countries, and my job was to meet with teenagers who were living in exclusion, who were living in extreme poverty or living with HIV, and write their stories.
So you saw the eyes, but the face? I believe that the conspiracy theorists have always been right. It's liquid crystal. It's how they disguise themselves. I know I sound crazy, but I do truly believe that this is the truth, and the truth is stranger than fiction. Monitor lizards have a similar thing that they do with something that's very similar to the concept of liquid crystal. Kenneth Copeland is highly obvious. Look at the eye shape. Look at how he is. This is a reptilian. But most people are already showing that they would not recognize a snake if if it looked like an angel of light with Christian theology. Here to say welcome to the spiritual war. If you're not aware of it, put on the armor, stand your post, you're a woman of the word. Watch the eyes and the teeth. The eyes are shifting to reptile eyes and the teeth are sharp and reptilian. I'm not saying this to be a bully. I think that she's very obviously beautiful, but I do not think that this situation is at all what we think it is. Jesus already destroyed all of these beings on the cross, but now it's up to us to not follow them when they appear on TV or social media.
Yo, that got deep. I haven't seen that footage presented in that way. Shout outs to K Paji.
Do you still think the three-fingered mummies are a hoax after this? There is no saving you. This is easily one of the biggest stories of the year. This is why. There's actually 7 of these mummies, and they were found in southern Peru. The reason why these are so controversial is because they genetically have 3 fingers and 3 toes. There's enough tissue on these things to get very good samples. But in that tissue, like Sebastian here, are implants. His are made from osmium and cadmium. We only discovered those 100 years ago. They have elongated heads. Some have implants. This is really interesting because one specimen, Montserrat, was pregnant. The fetus already has an elongated head, one of 2 feti that we know of these creatures. This completely rules out head binding. You can't do that in the womb. Our fingers have very distinct patterns. Their fingers just have lines, straight lines across them. Posted this video the other day talking about these guys, and apparently I triggered a bunch of people because I said these things were real. I didn't determine this. These guys determine this. David Ruiz is the former president of forensic medicine in Peru. Dr. Jose is the head of forensics for the Mexican Navy. John McDowell is the former president of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. Just won an award for being so good at it. Using this, they sequenced the DNA, then compared it with the known genomes in the U.S. National Library of Medicine. In Maria, 97% of those were identified, 30% matched Homo sapiens. What does that mean? Maria is likely a hybrid organism or a new species. Hoax claims are slowly getting retracted. Here's why.
Well, the only reason you think that these are a hoax is because a journalist. Remember the guy who was talking about UFO sightings around the Nazca lines? A guy named Manuel Caceres made wooden figurines that he glued together, dedicated to the Nazca mummies, to sell to tourists. These little trinkets, pieces of touristic art, meant to resemble the real mummies. These were confiscated at the Lima airport in 2023.
This is way bigger than disproving a hoax. Ancient Andean art depicts 3-fingered beings all over the place in textiles and even carvings all the way up to Utah. Now, the burials are strange. They're in caves and open-air cemeteries, but the strangest ones by far are the cholpas. They look like grain silos, but they're completely filled, and they use megalithic masonry techniques, the same that we see in ancient Egypt, like in the Osirian. But the link goes deeper. There's strong evidence for elongated heads in Egypt as well as Peru. And even though there's a shared iconography between pretty much every ancient culture, the one between the Peruvians and the Egyptians is very strong. These guys may try and deceive you by pushing a hoax for some reason, but I'm not going to add to that garbage. All my research has sources cited at the bottom of the page. And Jesse Michaels actually went there and did some phenomenal research. You have to check out this video. It's an hour and a half long. I linked it on my YouTube page if you want to go find that. Or get it straight from the source, tridactyls.org. They have all of the research papers, documents, videos I used in this video. It's all there. So yeah, sticks and stones may break mummy bones, but waka flocka like my video.
Blocka, plant. That is dope. That mean that video rang bells. Shout outs to baseforge.us. Yes, that video's in the last video. Go check it out. Yeah, I pretty much always believe Baseforge. I don't think he be capping. Like, he does his research for sure. This was a great analysis, and I learned a lot from this video. Make sure y'all go check him out. Go to his YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey y'all, welcome to Golden Corral. I've got all my sheep herded up inside for slop time. Want to join?
This here's our world-famous salad bar. Don't mind the flies, they're just getting through their fill too. Lettuce, tomatoes, whatever's left from last week, dig on in, partner.
Ain't nobody want that rabbit food from the salad bar? This here's what they came for. Piles and piles of good old Golden Corral slop. Dig in, y'all. Y'all don't know how hard it is making all this food, but we keep them pots boiling and them pans burning. Just for you. Who don't like some fresh yeast rolls? Hot, steamy, and straight out of the oven. Just the way y'all like.
Don't forget your sweet tooth now. We got plenty of sweet, sugary treats to keep y'all coming back. It's slop time. The only one for everyone.
So you can say goodbye to your phone because everybody's getting a Nokia again. Probably not for the reason you might expect, so stick with me. Of course, 2 days ago, we got the announcement that digital ID is going to be compulsory for everybody in the UK. Of course, if you don't want to work, you don't have to have it, but if you don't have one, you can't work. As I'm sure you've all seen, there's been a huge amount of divide on this whole situation, obviously. And you probably don't want to know what happens if you refuse. I'll do that in another video. Now, there is a petition for this, which is already at over 2.4 million signatures in like 2 days. Remember, only 100,000 will they actually take it for a debate in Parliament. But now the major news is thousands, and I mean thousands of people are saying they are going to throw their phones away and go back to Nokia 331s if this idea is not scrapped. Now, by just having one of these, I don't think that's really going to get around you having a job or not, but I can understand why this could be a smart move and people are basically doing this. Let me know your thoughts and I'll keep you updated.
Oh, I would love to know the science behind that. I'm gonna have to look into that a little more. Shout out to Matt W01. Shout out to the UK. That's very interesting. Look at that. They already starting to adapt.
Who the heck is this and what has she done to Serena Williams? I'm totally confused right now. Are they rebranding her? Is she like aging out of tennis and they're like rebranding her somehow? Very awkward situation. Do none of you remember? This is what Serena Williams used to look like. And now, who the heck are you, lady, and what have you done to Serena Williams? Cause this,
Change happens every day. It's going to happen to all of us one day, so you just have to like embrace it. Transitions are going to come, whether we want them to or not. They just do.
Right now, it's almost like celebrities are giving the illusion that they're aging backwards, because how do you go from this to this? They're giving the illusion that this is the natural aging process, when in the real world, I've never seen anybody age like this. And like I said in my previous videos, Betty White always looked like Betty White. What is going on? Are they all using the same plastic surgeons? Are they all using the same stylists? And how do they keep changing so dramatically? She doesn't even look like the same person here. You're really going to tell me that these are the same people? I probably stared at this picture for 10 minutes. Like, you never see stuff like this in the real world, only in Hollywood. I don't think people really realize how much these celebrities are changing, or are we the only ones that can see it? Going from this to this is so bizarre.
Add to that, I would say invest in like some companies that are going to be really big. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they got that stuff that ain't on the market. Shout outs to Truth for You. Man, she do look different. I don't know, something ain't right.
The Charlie Kirk assassination was part of the CIA's ongoing Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird began during the Cold War, and I don't think it ever stopped. The purpose of Operation Mockingbird was to manipulate domestic American news media for propaganda purposes. To mock us. And this Charlie Kirk production has been nothing more than a mockery.
Craziest theory I heard about Charlie Kirk.
What happened?
This movie that came out in 1998 is very connected, like so similar to what happened to Charlie Kirk.
It like predicted what happened.
Predicted, yeah. I don't know if you ever heard of Snake Eyes.
No, I never heard of it.
The main actor, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He was the one that played it, right? And guess what the name of the main character was?
Charlie?
Bam. Charles Kirkland.
Oh, that's crazy.
And the whole movie was about him in a public event, and he got in the neck, just like how Charlie Kirk did.
What the?
It gets crazy, right? 10 seconds into the movie, it's a big sign of when the event takes place in the movie. Guess when it is?
When?
September 10. Guess what date Kirk died in real life?
When?
September 10, fam.
It's the same day?
The same day, bro. Now it gets even crazier, right?
Yeah.
In real life, they thought that Tyler Robinson Charlie Kirk. In the movie, there's also a guy that shot him named Tyler.
Wait, that's
the same exact Tyler.
No, that's
and in the movie, guess what his role was?
What?
To distract the police from thinking the actual shooter was.
So use a fall guy, just like in the theory.
Yeah,
That's
it's called
crazy.
Snake Eyes, and under the thing, it's like believe anything but your eyes or something like that. And this year is the year of the what? The snake.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's talk about fallen angelic technologies.
If you're new to the spiritual awakening game, this is going to sound very weird. Fallen angelic technologies, what is that even? So first I have to explain what are fallen angels. They are a fancy term for higher dimensional beings that chose to fall from grace, or the law of one. Now the law of one dictates that we are all one, we all come from one source, the one God, the one creator. We're all interconnected, and this is why we have to treat each other with empathy. If you look at the basis of the 7 sins, that explains the opposite of the law of one. It's all me, 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 me. And if you look at the way that the people who control this place operate, they're all very me, 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 me. If you're into conspiracies, you've heard of the 13 bloodlines, right? These bloodlines still permeate. They still exist, and they are of the fallen angelic seraphim bloodline. The seraphim are a type of angel. I think they are the highest ranking angel. Now there are 2 seraphim angels, the fallen one and the non-fallen one. So the non-fallen ones still abide by the codes of the law of one. The fallen ones, on the other hand, they have turned into absolute monsters. And in my opinion, I also believe narcissistic personality disorder, or most cluster B personality disorders, come from that lineage. Now that you know what fallen angels are, everything is reversed for them, right? They no longer can connect to that divine source of the law of one. So what do they have to do to control and conquer and colonize? Because now they have turned parasitic. When you're me, 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 you're a parasite. They mimic God, and they mimic what is naturally supposed to be already in existence. For example, the algorithm can predict your behavior, but psychics can also predict your behavior. Real life oracles and psychics, they actually exist, and I've been to many who have told me things that they should not know. Yet they have told me many things that happened in my past and predicted many things in my life. So human beings are naturally gifted with these gifts, yet you have these artificial algorithms telling you the same exact thing a psychic can actually tell you through his or her pineal gland or crown chakra. The reason I believe that these technologies exist is not only to help them obtain something that they naturally cannot get, it's also to have you confused and have a thought reversal about what is your true power and what is the power of God and nature versus what is artificial power. If they can make you believe their holograms and their AI generated images are reality, you've just given your power away. And I also believe the reason why they're pushing so much artificial intelligence in terms of androids as well, like robots, and having you plug into technology, so maybe getting a bionic arm, a chip here and there, is so that they can hijack your system. They can hijack what's going on here and what's going on in your whole system. Think about it. If you are a fallen angel and you have forfeited your right to ever connect to that divine source, you're going to envy and loathe anything that still has a connection to the divine source. If you really want to understand human history, you have to look at the movie Avatar with the blue people, the blue aliens. I'm not talking about the cartoon. And how these greedy, envious, violent humans came down onto the planet that was almost like the Garden of Eden and corrupted the Na'vi people and tried to destroy the planet. If you reverse the roles, what do you think is exactly happening here? Because of their envy and their loathing of your divine connection to source, they want to create a hybrid race in which, just like the Na'vi movie, they look like us, they talk like us, but they're not us. So if they behave a certain way and can brainwash you into thinking that their behavior is normal because they're elite, you will forfeit your right to the divine source. And you will no longer have that connection to divine source. Everything they promote is to promote consumerism, greed, lack of connection with nature, and competition with each other, because that's what they are. Now, if you would like to learn more about the fallen angels, I have a book, Made in God's Image, link in my bio, that goes into more depth. Because if I say things in my book here, my page has already gotten banned 3 times. It's like my 3rd time doing this. But other than that, if you're watching this video, that means your brain is already searching for the answer. You're already going through a spiritual awakening. And I say this in a lot of my videos. The devil is in the details. Satan is a lie. The fallen angels only know how to deceive. But if you connect to your heart and your true divine source, and you navigate life through your own divine technology, which is your intuition, they likely can never fool you.
Don't be fooled. Keep your connection to source. Shout out to Key.Guidance 999 dropping these gems. The Avatar analogy was a good one.
Rapture is back on, and you might think that the pastor who gave the original prophecy that it was going to be on September 23rd was wrong, but you would be wrong because he was actually right all along. And I know what you're thinking. How could that be? You did not see any bodies flying towards the sky on September 23rd. Well, it is because we were using the wrong calendar. Jesus doesn't know that we changed our calendar, and we should have been using the Julian calendar because that is the calendar that they used back in the day. So it is now rescheduled to October 6th to 7th.
That calendar is behind by 13 days.
Now, Percy is very relieved because he was very stressed out about this. He thought that God had spoken to him directly and that it was going to be on September 23rd, but now it all makes sense. And he is not alone. There are a lot of people who are coming back online and saying that they are sure this time.
Because when he was on the earth, the Julian calendar was the calendar they followed. So he is going to come back on the Feast of Trumpets on the Julian calendar.
Here's where I have some disappointing news. The guy that sold his car and said that he was no longer going to talk about the rapture publicly, he has pretty much walked that back at this point. He has been making a lot of videos about the rapture. And while he has not said that it will be on October 6th or 7th, he is liking a bunch of comments and kind of being like wink wink about it because he said he wasn't going to say the exact date, but he is saying it without saying it.
I got my shofar yesterday. Jesus is coming very, very soon. If you know, you know. Wink, wink.
So it looks like we are going to get to do all of this again very soon, and I will keep you updated on any rapture news.
Yo, what was going on with that horn? Who is he calling with that thing? Need some WD-40 or something. Shout out to Jubilee Dawns. That's crazy. Jesus didn't know what calendar we were on. What happened to no man know the hour, know the day? I really feel like it's a big money grab. I'm gonna just be honest with you, bro. They say he come like a thief in the night. Why would he tell you? Stop. Come on now.
It is time to wake up, people. This is a real tweet. I checked. A quote-unquote American commentator advocating that the U.S. change their constitution so that Netanyahu can become president. This is the next step. But to do that, you need something to control the hearts and minds of Americans.
But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are on social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class TikTok.
Hold on a second. I just had to pause real quick. Did you guys hear that? Somebody said bots. Bots? Who are the ones accusing the other countries of using bots again? Anyway, let's continue.
TikTok. TikTok. Number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential.
Quote, turns out it didn't need to be eliminated. TikTok is a message force multiplier after all, and only requires, apparently, the right people to own it. Like Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison. See, told you I would come back to Larry. He is the second richest man in the world and the single biggest private donor of the Israeli Defense Forces, someone who has referred to the state of Israel as his own. Do people not see something wrong here with an American citizen being the biggest private donor of a foreign army? That is very weird.
I have been to Israel. I've been to the border. I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel. And I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people. We have two CEOs at Oracle. One's name is Safra Katz, and she was born in Israel. So again, we love the country of Israel, and we'll do everything we can to support the country of Israel.
I'll repeat what he just said again. We will do everything we can to support the country of Israel. They've already put a former IDF soldier, Erica Mendel, as the head of content moderation at TikTok. And also, if we just zoom out for a second, the Ellison family now control CBS, Paramount, Warner, CNN, and TikTok. That is now a secured Israeli propaganda ecosystem. Now, DropSite is already reporting that TikTok is escalating a sweeping crackdown on pro-Palestine creators, deleting videos, scrubbing comments, and burying posts about Gaza. They've also evidently introduced an overhaul of its community guidelines, banning users from calling the IDF terrorists and rolling out automated moderation that retroactively wipes posts. Users are reporting Free Palestine comments disappearing in real time and Israeli war crimes videos getting taken down. Wow, remember when I said more than a year ago that the TikTok deal had nothing to do with China and everything to do with Israel? Is the TikTok ban about China or is it about Israel? And then I was summarily smeared in the Atlantic as a anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist. Well, I guess it turns out the difference between a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy is about 6 months to a year.
I remember that TikTok. That's crazy. Shouts to 5149 James Lee. Damn.
So what happens if you refuse the digital ID? Well, you probably don't want to know. There is something you probably do not expect though, so stick with me. Of course, this whole thing was announced back on Friday. Huge divide on the internet, I'll tell you that for free. And there is all these articles now coming out saying, well, what will actually happen if you refuse the ID? Well, the official statements basically mean it is compulsory for anybody wishing to work. So if you don't want to work, you don't have to have it, mate. But of course, everybody needs to work, so, I mean, pretty smart. However, there has been concerns before and slight conversations that have hinted at what would happen if you refused. Other people in different parties and different governments basically saying, well, this is what they would consider. Obviously, your digital ID is you, so it links to everything. And obviously, there's concerns about hackers and things like that. That's a whole different story, mate. But what a lot of people have been saying is they could just cut your housing off. They could cut your bills, your car, holidays, anything you want could be cut off if you refuse. Very much like what happens in our friends over here, and actually in North Korea, which we know is pretty severe. Now, on the flip side, there's a lot of people saying, well, if you didn't actually sign up for it in the first place, how are they going to cut you off for things because you didn't sign up anyway? I think it goes a bit deeper than that, but obviously I'm sure a lot more is going to come out on this in the coming months. And soon we probably will be living in nosedive days. Like, Black Mirror is actually real. You're going to have a rating above your head and I'm going to be like, no, you're a 3, mate.
He's right. Black Mirror, IRL. Shout out to IsMattW01. I think that's my biggest question as well. What about the hackers? They can hack into it and manipulate things. I think they need to be more transparent with what these guidelines are going to be.
Who's ready for some shit sliders? They go in solid and come back out liquid. Welcome to the infamous White Castle. We've got sliders for everyone. You better make sure you are close to a toilet, though. These things are gonna bubble your guts like hot lava. Just look at them, nasty pigs shoving this crap down their throats. They can't stop. They don't even care what's crawling on it. Ha ha! I bet you didn't know we don't even grill our burgers. Ha ha! We steam them on a bed of onion to make sure your guts get extra jacked up. You already know, nobody cares how we make this shit. They just want more and more, just like some animals. And that's how we like it. You can never leave. The castle lives inside you now, rotting, festering, until you're nothing but meat for the swarm. Buy 'em by the sack.
Shout out to Brain Rot Reels. And I love White Castle. That's crazy. I don't know if I could look at it the same after watching this.
I did that on purpose, sir.
Why is that?
I'm bored.
Have a seat. You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What happened, dude?
I've been drinking.
You been drinking?
Yeah, I've been drinking.
Okay.
And I took some weed pills.
Okay.
I did that on purpose, sir.
What, you hit me on purpose?
Yeah, I did.
Why is that?
I'm bored.
You bored?
I'm bored.
So you ran in the back of me on purpose?
Yep.
Why is that?
I hate cops.
Watch how this credit card can steal all of your files and read your personal information. I'm going to plug it in via USB. Now the computer booted from the credit card's drive, not from the computer's drive itself. Now that I'm in, I can go to the file manager, I can click other locations, I can click the actual computer's drive. Now I can go to users, the name of the user, the desktop, statements, and in this case, we're gonna see a bunch of different files, including bank statements. Here's an example of a random bank statement from a long time ago. The best way to avoid this type of attack is to enable encryption on your hard drive, BitLocker for Windows, and FileVault for Mac. Stay safe.
Over there is the moon, right? That. What is that? It's nowhere else. It is freaking green.
Oh my gosh! It's like moving for me. The robot is like, I'm putting no effort into running, and I'm like running so good. The robot is like shooting my legs into the sky.
So the price is actually around $1,000. That's crazy. Shout out to Christian Grossi. But yo, that's that Call of Duty right there. That's crazy. It's really awesome, to be honest. I wonder if you still get the physical benefits of the exercise of walking, you know? Even though it's being done with these robot legs that he's wearing. Very interesting.
How's the steak?
Ready, face. Forward march. I hope so.
I am. I'm very confident.
I don't know what to tell you about that, man. I'm having a long month. I'm trying not to take my own life, so I just want to get these photos.
I really don't believe that Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Sundar Pichai, Tim Cook, and most of the major tech leaders actually care about human life. Because everything they do is driving us further and further away from our connection with nature and with each other, and bringing us closer and closer to a connection with machines. Bit by bit, their companies are stripping away our power while consolidating it for a select few. Whether it's through surveillance, censorship, manipulating search results, controlling our movement, AI, mRNA vaccines, it never benefits us in the long run. And it doesn't matter how many times they appear on the cover of Time magazine as some sort of hero of our time, they will never convince me. We have to stop looking at what they say and start looking at what they do. These people are not our friends.
Challenged Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright, okay? Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our on-stage reunion could happen? It's a yes or a no. Explicitly, I want to hear from Turning Point USA that I'm lying about that. I want you to say no, it was just, he was feeling a little bit of pressure. No, I want you to literally answer what I have just said. It either happened or it didn't. I'm either making it all up or it happened exactly as I'm saying. And while we're at it, may I ask, what is the name of the Jewish donor who sponsored the Hamptons weekend? Okay. And to Pastor Rob McCoy, were there any LLCs that you or your son were being paid through that sat outside of Turning Point? I'm asking that question genuinely. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? There is no way you are letting these lies fly unless, as I am hearing, unless it is true that there was a big payday that was on the line. And if Charlie radically stated that he was done with Israel, if Charlie said he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of, and I quote, Jewish donors, the behavior of Jewish donors, if he said that, yes or no, well then, I don't know, maybe some people didn't want to take that risk that he was going to, become Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson at Turning Point USA with so much presence across college campuses. Maybe they didn't want to take the chance. You see, I'm just one person, so it's easy to just try to cancel my life and lie on me every second of every day. But Turning Point USA, I think, got a little bit bigger than Charlie, and I'm no longer going to allow this lie in this narrative. So answer the questions, yes or no. And I'm going to, again, challenge you to lie. And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies, and I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games, enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.